When we have data in Excel, we are typically interested in doing basic data analysis. And we can easily do this by looking at some descriptive statistics, which we will see exists in the add-ins in Excel. Let us take a look at a typical example. Let's assume we have a class consisting of 30 students, and we see the records contain information on their first name, second name, and 4 of the exams that they took during the semester. We also have information on their status, whether they are full or part-time, and the gender. And here we see the gender has already been placed in the order of female and then male. There are numerous questions we could ask on this data, and some of them may be the following. On the first or any of the exams, what was the lowest grade? What was the highest grade? What was the average grade? How about the median grade or the mode grade? Or what was the spread from the lowest to the highest grade? How does one exam compare to the other as far as the averages and the range go? Can we construct what's called confidence intervals on any of these? And how is that done? So let's take a look at some of the answers to these questions by going into the add-ins in Excel and applying it to this example. Just before we look at the results on our example with the grades, let's just look at some numbers, random numbers, to see how the add-in works. Assuming I have here 7 numbers, and I'd like to get the descriptive statistics applied to that. So I would do it exactly the same way as we're going to do in the example in a few moments. We will go to Data on top of the screen, and then we go to Data Analysis. Click on that. Now we have our choices in Data Analysis. The one we're going to choose for this example is Descriptive Statistics. Click on that. It says OK. And it's going to ask us now, where is the data located? The input range in the example, the simple example, is just going to be these 7 cells. We can highlight it, and there it is. Are there any labels in the first row? No, I did not put any labels in. Where do you want it to be? Let's have it on a new worksheet. That is the default. Summary statistics we need to check off, and we will click on OK. And by doing that and expanding our columns, we have the results of those numbers. And I won't go into the interpretation at this point. I will leave it for you to do, but we will look at the resulting terms with the example of the tests that we are looking at in this present module. Let's just summarize how descriptive statistics can be used. Let's take a look at the results we have on the screen. First of all, we may want to change the formatting. So if we highlight the numbers and right click, and we can go down to Format Cells. We can go down to Number and change number to 2 decimal places if you wish, and click on OK, and now we have a much better presentation. Let's just review some of the items that we see here. First, we see the mean, and mean we know is the average. The average grade here is 74.33. The next item is called the standard error. This is calculated by dividing the standard deviation by the square root of the sample size. And this will be used to measure items with inference, but we're not going to look at it at this point. Next we have the median, which is 73. This indicates that half the grades were above it and half of the grades were below that. Next is the mode, which is 65, which would indicate that this is a common value, that we have at least 2 grades that were 65, and it could be many more. The standard deviation is a measure of dispersion, and here it's 13.46, rounded. And one of the rules in statistics is if the scores are normally distributed, then around 95.5% of the scores should be within 2 standard deviations of the mean. Another way of expressing this is that 95.5% of individual scores should be between the mean plus or minus 2 standard deviations. Next item is the sample variance. This is nothing more than the standard deviation squared. So it would be 13.46 squared. Next is the kurtosis, which is a measure of peakedness, and we're not going to really use that. Next is skewness. Skewness in this case is 0.27. If the data is symmetric, the value should be around 0. In the case over here, there is a positive skewness, which would indicate that the mean is above the median. Next item is the range. The range is defined to be the maximum value minus the minimum value. If we take a look at the maximum value, 99, minimum is 55, take the difference, we get 44. Next item we indicated is the maximum value. That's the highest value. The minimum value is the lowest value. Sum is the sum of all of the observations. In this case there are 30 of them, as we can see under count. And if we would divide count into the sum, we would get the mean. Hopefully this will help you understand the basics of descriptive statistics.